Hello, everyone. Hey, Jeremy, Amanda, Yvonne, Gus,
Good
Morris.
morning.
Good morning to you, sir, Joseph. All right. So, welcome to this Cobuild. Today is a very interesting Cobuild, I would say, because this is what Jack's original Cobuild looked like, right? And there's a lot of stuff happening to it. In addition, what I plan on doing in this automation is also attach something that we're discussing could be done in terms of the community members as well. So we're going to add the ability to upload stuff to socials as well. So in addition to generating stuff, for example, this right here. So instead, to start it off, I can just say, okay, create me an image of a dog in a park, right? And I say, I send that off. Oh yeah, because yeah, I just deleted my API token. Yeah, that wasn't a good idea. Anyway, I'll show you what I was doing before. So here, I was like, okay, create me an edited version of this image, but instead of an athlete, put a dog. So there was an athlete that was created here, right? First thing. And then we generated this. And then I was like, okay, create me an X post about the above image. Chasing your dreams is a marathon, not a sprint. A determined dog running at sunrise reminds us, whatever, right? So we're combining a few different things in terms of image generation, image editing, social media creation as well. So I'll show you how to combine all of this into the ability to create posts about whatever you want. So I can say, okay, create me a linked, let's say a Twitter post about a dog in a park. Let's try that again. So this will combine the creation of images and the editing of images, the creation of social media stuff. As you can see there, I'm just typing messages in a Telegram channel and I'm getting that back. In addition to all these, what we're doing or what I'm doing here is I'm saving all the images in Airtable. In his automation, Jack was using Google Sheets or sorry, Google Drive in or for version control just to try and avoid some of the confusion with the Google Drive and image names and all that. I just went with Google with Airtable as I was preparing for this. So over here I have a bunch of all the images that I generated. And then since this is also connected to Blotato, I have these buttons right here that will allow me to push this directly to Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram. So there's another automation that is working over there. So that is the plan with this Cobuild today. There's a lot of moving pieces to it. So the pace will be quite rapid, I would say. But at the same time, if you have questions, as always, ask in the chat. There will be space to unmute as well, and we can have a conversation. But there's a lot of stuff happening here. If we see that it's too much stuff, we can always have a part two as well next week. But that is the plan of what we're covering today. Before we get started, do you guys have any questions or thoughts about how this could go or where you want it to go, I guess?
So just quickly, Kevin, so we're going to be towards the end using Blotato to publish.
Correct. Yep.
Gotcha. All right.
Yes. So it will go from, essentially, it will go from you having a list of images that are ready. I mean, you have the prompt, you have the image that was generated or re-edited. So here we've got the baby in like on the racetrack that was then turned into a dog. That was then originally was an athlete, right? So these are all me giving it, saying change the athlete into whatever. And then all these buttons are connected to Blotato, to the automation running Blotato, so that I can then choose, okay, post it to Facebook. What we're not covering is, I mean, what we could also do, or what could be done on top of that, would be to generate a caption as well. So then it's a, in a way, a complete sort of thing. But I think it would be way like stretching it too thin for just one Cobuild. But yes, that is the plan with Blotato, Gus. Any other thoughts or questions before we dive into it?
I have one more question.
Go for it.
Will there be maybe a RAG in this if we were to upload our own documents and brand voice to it maybe not in this call, but like, you know, like to do our social media, let's say we have our brand voice and our tone of voice and stuff, so that we can use it as well to create, stuff like our posts.
Definitely can be done. And what I would do in that case is, so over here, we in the Blotato post social media, when essentially we're getting the information from Airtable, we're uploading the image to Blotato because it is required in order to upload to social media. What you could then do over here before you actually post is have a node that references, or like through reg, references all the information it knows about your business, so that it creates content like the social media caption, the, I don't know, the YouTube description, the whatever it is for the social media that is brand specific.
Super.
Yeah. Cool. Let me have a look at the chat. All right. Cool. Let's dive in then.
Looks great, Kevin.
Hey, Joseph.
Love it.
Thank you. Thanks, man. So, yeah, as I said, that's Jack's automation. I'm going to not do school, and I'm not going to do YouTube for the purposes of this Cobuild. So I'm focusing on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. It's pretty much the same thing, just that I want to simplify it a bit as well. As I mentioned, I'm not using Google Drive. I'm using Airtable to store the images. This is pretty much the same thing. Here he has the improve images. So again, I'm not using this. And I think thinking about how I built mine, this might be a bit simpler than this, but I'll explain as we go along. If you're following along, you'll need to have Telegram installed, and I'll show you how to create a channel right here as well. And this is pretty straightforward, and it will serve as the input point and the output point to this automation. If you wanted to, you could also eventually change this to any other channel, right? So don't feel you are sort of closed off to Telegram or whatever the input you want to use. There are different, could be Telegram, could be an email, could be, I don't know, Slack. There's different ways how you could communicate with the system. One final thing I'll point out, in the Cobuild post, there's a link to this document right here, Cobuild document, which if you open it will take you to this document right here, which I'll also paste in the chat. And over there, so far I have all the Cobuild prompts, which if you open that, I essentially just copied Jack's system prompts for Twitter, LinkedIn, etc., etc. So over there, I'll just, when I get to that stage, I'm just going to copy paste the system prompts for the agents that are responsible for creating the social media stuff. So we don't waste time on that, right? So if it's, I don't know, Twitter, you're a specialized research and content creation assistant for X. Your job is to identify recent whatever. So I'll just copy paste these into my automation. All right. So let's start with Telegram. So over here, what you need to do is just find this guy called the bot father. And once you do, so once you search for bot father, this is how you will create your Telegram channel, which will communicate with N8N. So once you're in here, all you need to do is just type in new bot. And this guy says, all right, a new bot. How are we going to call it? Please choose a name for your bot. So let's call this Cobuild 110. Hit enter, and then it asks you to choose a username for your bot, which must always end with _bot. So here, I'm just going to say this. And I think it's _bot actually. Username is invalid, okay. Bot, no. Let's try again, Cobuild -bot. Cobuild, what did I do before? _bot. Okay, so that's taken. So let's do Cobuild. Let's do 1st October _bot. Awesome. And that is the username of the bot. You don't need to remember that. All you need is essentially to just copy this token right here, because this is what you will input into N8N. And then we'll just click on this. So I'm just going to double check that is copied. That's great. Click on that and hit start. And this is how you would start the conversation, like the first message that goes into this Telegram bot. Once you have this API token, you can go into N8N and we can start building the automation step by step. So this is the trigger that will start the automation. If I go to Telegram here, I have triggers, and the first one would be on message. I'm going to connect a new account here or a new credential. So the credential to connect with, just go to create a new credential and just paste in that API token. Hit save. And this should connect successfully. So now, if I were to execute this, so this is now listening for an event, and I type in something here, this should send the message directly to my N8N. So here I get my message 123 right here, right? So the connection between Telegram and N8N is established successfully. Any questions so far? Cool. Thank you, Joseph. What I'm going to do is just turn this to production, and I'm going to send another message so that I'll double check that this is working when it's live. And then I'll be also able to pin the data. So I'm just going to send a message here. And this should come right in. And we should get some gibberish right there. So that's fine. I'm going to copy to editor. And now I have the text message right there. So I don't really need all this stuff right here. I can just extract the text that I want. So here I'm just going to extract the text. One thing we will need will be this chat ID. So we can also extract this right here. Just going to say this is the text and this is the chat ID. So now if I hit execute, let's change the name there. So this becomes a flat sort of array. And now we have the text and the chat ID right there. Now, this is if we get a text input, right? So one thing that you can also do in Telegram is obviously send a voice message. So we also want to cater for this as we're building this, right? Maybe, I don't know, I'm out for a walk and I get an idea in my head. I have my dog in one hand and my phone in another. Like I can't really type at the same time. I mean, I can, I guess, but you run the risk of falling headfirst into a pothole or something. So let's say that we want to also cater for voice messages. So what I'm going to do is just send a voice message right here. So this is sending a voice message. So we'll be able to see what that looks like right here. Question? So, no. Let me mute that. So here, as you can see now with this latest execution, we have a voice duration, MIME type, file ID. So this obviously sent us information about the audio version of whatever we sent. So in this case, if I copy this to the editor, I can now have a branch that caters for the audio. So for that, what I'm going to do is just have an if. And I'm going to say if file type, I mean, pretty much any of this exists, we know it's an audio. So here I'm going to say if this exists, so if that is true, then we need to cater for the audio. If that is false, if that does not exist, then it's pretty much a text input. So let's do that. Let's cater for the audio as well here. So in this case, if I run this, this is true because we sent an audio right here. So in this case, what I need to do, so let me have a look at the comment. Jeremy, I might have missed it, but I get Telegram trigger, bad request. An HTTPS URL must be provided for the webhook. Which part here? In
Yes.
N8N? So all I did here is I just added a Telegram trigger, right, on message. And then I created a new connection. I didn't touch any webhooks. I just provided the API token right here that I got from the bot father.
Yeah, as did I. Okay, I'll mess around with it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So audio. If we have an audio, we need to do two things. We need to download the file ID. So we get the actual audio into an A10. And then we need to transcribe it. So that's a two-step process. So here, if I go to Telegram, what was it? Download? No, attachment. Nope. Let me remember, get a file. Yeah. Which needs a file ID, which is this right here, file underscore ID. If I hit execute, I should get the audio version of whatever I sent into an A10. Which also means that now I can transcribe it. So if I just use OpenAI, they have a transcribe a recording feature. Data by default matches data by default. So if I hit execute, this should give me the voice message that I sent. Voice message right here, this is sending. So this is working as expected. What I'm going to do, just to have the same sort of standardized output from this section of the automation, is to have a set node that, I mean, here, as you can see, it says text and usage and type and seconds. So I'm just going to have the same sort of stuff right here, so that when it comes to the AI agent that is coming next, whether we insert data from this branch or from this branch, the input to it will be standardized. So here I'm just going to set the text. Here we also have text. And now that I think about it, I'm just going to remove the chat ID here. So we'll be able to just grab it from the beginning here. So now whether we have a voice message coming in or a text message, we will always have a field called text that we can then move forward with. So let's execute this. So this should give us the voice message. If I were to go here and just send in a text, hello, hello. This should go down the lower branch and then have just hello, hello there. So this is working so far as expected. Any questions so far before we get into the AI agent part?
Well, I'm a total noob over here, so
Hey,
I'm
Dennis.
following along with them. Hey, what's going on, Kevin?
What's
Hey,
up?
everybody. So I came in a little bit afterwards too, so I might have missed it. So I'm looking at Telegram, the if statement, and get a file to edit fields. Have we gotten into setting up each one of those modules yet, or are
Not
we
yet,
just
no.
going through an overview? Okay. So do you suggest that I just put the modules in and we'll go back and go through, or
Do I suggest what?
that we put the notes in and I'll just follow along?
I would think so, yeah. I mean, this is just the first
Okay.
part. Like if you want to follow along, what I would do is just ignore the voice part, which is this right here, and you just have a Telegram trigger. Then you can run with that.
All right, sounds good. I'll
Yep.
follow along. Thanks.
Sure.
Hey, Kev.
Hey, who's that?
Hey, what's up? It's
Hey,
Aris.
Aris. Hey, Aris.
Hey, what's up, guys? Quick question. So I'm in the school page and it has two different N8N workflows to download. Are those already set up like this or?
So I know there was one which is this one. I think it's this and this. Did you open them?
Yeah, not yet. I just downloaded them. I just
Okay.
figured I'd ask.
I'm pretty
check it
sure
out.
this is one. I think this was the second one, which we're doing a version of this that's more simp, as in we're not doing videos.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Will we get a copy of this one that you're doing here or?
This that I'm building.
I missed it. I mean, I'll have to rewatch it, I guess.
Yes. Always. Yes. I'll upload that with the recap.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. And then one final question. This this Google document that you said with all Cobuild prompts,
Mhm.
Is this specifically for this what we're working on, or is this for like all types of for different
this specific.
co-build? Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, guys? Okay, so let's keep going. So the first thing we're going to do is connect to an AI agent. So I'm just going to go to AI agent. And what I'm going to do is call this the orchestrator. I mean, you can call it whatever you want. I just, for some reason, this name stuck with me. But this guy will be responsible for deciding whether the user wants to create an image, edit an image, or create a social media post. And then branch off to the right tool. The way we're going to build this, so if you look at what I showed you earlier that I was working with, or the one Jack had built, there's this orchestrator right here, right, that has access to a few different tools. So it has access to the post creator, and it will have access to, in this case, improve images and creating images. So this is sort of the flow that we're going for. In my one over here, I had the orchestrator that's connected to a generate social media agent, and also has the ability to create images and edit images. And also do a few other things like send Telegram messages, send photos, and check what's in our table. So this is the idea. We have this agent that will decide what happens moving forward. Is it branch A? Is it like route A, route B, route C, and so on and so forth. So if we go back here, let's give this a brain. So chat model, let's use OpenAI. And since it's a bit...
That's one thing, sorry, because I'm a bit
Hey,
mystified
Amanda.
by this. Hi, Kevin. Why was it specifically a Telegram trigger? I didn't see Jack's actual video,
Yeah.
so I apologize, folks, but I'm a bit lost as to why
Yeah.
it's in Telegram.
It wasn't any specific reason. It just was that happened to be the trigger
Okay.
input.
Thanks. Cheers.
Yeah. So OpenAI, I went with 4.1, a bit more power than 4.1 mini. I'm going to give it memory here. So I'm going to go with simple memory for this one. And this will be crucial in this case because, like I showed you in the example here, if I say let's create an X post about it, if we don't have memory, it would mean nothing, right? So we need to have that conversation, that memory inbuilt into the whole thing. If I say create me an edited version of this image without memory, this image will mean absolutely nothing. So that is super key. In this case, since we're building this for us, for one person, the key here can be pretty much anything. If you were to build this for different users, you would then need to have different keys for different users. In this case, we're just building it for ourselves without thinking too much, I guess, about what happens with multiple users. But this is where that consideration would need to be factored in if we were to have different memories for different people. And here is where we set the context window length. So let me just put 20, so it will remember 20 past interactions in terms of back and forth conversations. Question? I don't know if someone had a question.
Okay. Do you like the sunset? Yeah, a lot. Do you like
Okay.
The question is, do you like the sunset? No,
Yeah.
I have a question.
The sunset is nice, yeah. Overlooking a cliff with the sun, yeah.
My question was about BotFather. I missed that part. Can you just give me a quick rundown on how to set that Telegram node?
So did you open the BotFather?
No. Where do should I use my desktop or my phone, or does it not matter?
I don't think it matters. I've always done it on desktop. I think it doesn't matter though. As long as you find the BotFather, you can then say /new bot right here.
Kevin,
Hey, Joseph.
really quick, you might, I don't know if it was mentioned already, but for those who've never used the BotFather,
Yep.
when you're first trying to access the BotFather, don't you need to set up like your own either group or channel and then just type the BotFather keyword and then in that channel and then just click on that and that routes you there?
Good question. It's honestly been so long that I've forgotten how to access it, but isn't it about...
I think you could do it either way.
Can you not search for BotFather? and then create the
Yeah,
channel.
you can search for. Yeah, you can
That's
do
what
it
I
that way.
recall.
Okay, if you can still search for it, then yeah, that's good too.
Yeah, you can search for bot father and then just open it up right here.
Bot father and
Yeah.
okay, I see. Boom, I'm on the desktop.
Yep.
Okay, I got it. Cool.
The reason I mentioned that is because whenever I create, I do it because if I'm creating a new bot, I'll go ahead and create the group or channel so that I'm going to put the bot in, and then once it's created, then I just make it a an admin of that channel so that it'll be able to
Okay.
make posts and all of that stuff.
Gotcha. So then it's in bot father, then / new bot. And then it will ask you for a name, like how are we going to call it? You give it a name, and then you need to give it a username, which generally can be the same name with underscore bot at the end.
Okay. Boom. So it says good. Now now let's choose a username for your bot.
Yep.
We're gonna call it.
So you can say take the same name, put underscore bot after it, hit enter, and then you should get a congratulation message.
Okay, cool. I'm in.
Yeah. And then you just
Great.
grab the API key for it, which you will need to connect, sorry, not API key token, to connect to N8N. And just click on the t.me link to start a conversation. So just click on that first one and then grab this token and use it to connect to N8N.
Okay, great. I got it.
All right, so orchestrator. So this guy right here will take as input or as user input the message called text, right? And this, just as a quick refresher, is the text input or the text version of either the message that the user sent in as text or the transcription of the voice message the user dictated. So this is what the input will be right here. What is key here is the system message. So here, let me just grab the message I had before, and I'll paste this in the document as well. So orchestrator system prompt, and we'll go through it step by step. So here what I had is you are an orchestrator agent that analyzes user requests and routes them to the appropriate specialized tool. Your role is to determine the user's intent and call the correct function based on their input. So pretty straightforward. Analyze the request and route them to the appropriate tool. Available tools. Tool 1 is create an image. Use it when the user wants to generate, create, make, or produce a new image from scratch. Keywords to watch for are create, generate, make, design, draw, produce an image. So here I was sort of catering for different possibilities, I guess, how I could say create an image. Example, create an image of a sunset. Sunset seems to be the recurring theme now. Generate a logo or make a picture of a cat, right? So that's the first tool. Then we have edit previous image. So these will all be tools that I will add to our orchestrator. Edit previous image. Use it when the user wants to modify, edit, change, or update. When you call this tool, this is important. You will need to pass two things, the new prompt and the Airtable URL the user wants to modify. And we'll get to this in a second. But essentially, if we have an image right here and we want to modify the athlete into a dog, we'll need to pass the image URL itself plus the prompt, right? So here, that's why I'm saying you'll need the new prompt plus the Airtable URL. So this is for creating an image and editing images. Then it also has this tool, which is Airtable image name tool. So essentially I created this to replace what Jack has had here with the search Google. So here he was searching for all the images in Google Drive and then renaming as a way of creating a new version. Since I was using Airtable, I just went with let's give the orchestrator the ability to search Airtable and see what names we have right here. And then when we create an image, it is responsible for generating a new name for it. So this is the Airtable image name tool, and we'll go through creating all of these tools themselves, but I just want to give you an overview of the tools that we'll be looking at. And then the third tool will be the generate social media content. So this is pretty straightforward in the sense that if the user says generate social media, generate post, caption, tweet, Instagram, Facebook, this is the user saying, I want to create social media posts. In that case, let's call this tool, which in what we're building here, this tool, which will be this, will have its own sub-agents. So it will have X, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So there is that hierarchy of how things are organized. So this guy, I keep saying guy, this robot will decide whether it's creating a new image or editing a previous image or generating a social media post. If it's generating a social media post, then this agent will decide whether it's an X post, an IG post, or LinkedIn post. You could also have it that you generate all of them. So nothing stopping you there. But again, for the purpose of this build, I just decided to say, okay, generate a post for LinkedIn rather than generate social media posts for this specific topic. So Aris, Telegram bot father setup is totally different than before.
Yeah, when I used to do it, it was just like on yours with the chat going
Mhm.
down, but now it's not like that. I can share my screen or a picture or something, but I don't know if anybody else is having this issue.
Go for it.
Okay. Share screen. Okay. So yeah, when I went to the bot father and then I created a new, this is how it looks when you create it. I never seen it like this before. I went in, I created it, and it gave me this. I have my key there or whatever,
Mhm.
but I'm not, usually it has the link to where you could go open it, but I don't know.
I've never seen this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how mine opened up as well. I am closing it and then going back to the Telegram and then clicking on the bot father, and it opened up the normal chat window for me.
So just, okay, I'll search around. I don't want to hold this up.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Thanks.
just didn't click on the open button. I actually just double clicked on the bot father, like the icon versus the open, and it opened normally for me. There you go. I
there
did
it
the same
goes.
thing, and that fixed my
Got it.
problem.
Nice.
All right, thank you, man.
Nice. Thank you, Jeremy. Cool. Chat. Very good. Okay. So let's go back here. Orchestrator. Yeah, I was going through the prompt right here. So we have the third tool, which is sharing social media content. And here I have decision process. So analyze the user's request, match to the most appropriate category, call the corresponding primary tool, this or this or this or this. And what I had to add after was always follow up with the appropriate Telegram tool. If you use create an image or edit previous image, call Telegram photo. So what I wanted to do here, if I look at this, is I always wanted to give the user something. And for that, first I tried, I don't recall how it was. Yeah, here it was send a text message. So what I wanted to do is not only send a text message, I also wanted to send a photo, right? Because we're generating images. But I was running into issues. Like this was not able to, for some reason, differentiate between a text post and an image post. So I was like, okay, let me try and add these as a tool directly connected to the agent. And that worked well. What was ending up happening sometimes when I had, like without me specifying this right here, not this one, without me specifying this, it was using, like, even though it was a picture, it was using the message Telegram tool. So I went a bit deeper and said, if you create an image, or if you use create an image or edit previous image, then use the Telegram photo with the image URL. So I went, I guess, like very detailed with it. If you use generate social media content or Airtable image name tool, then call the Telegram message. Because here I also want to be able to say in the when I was showing you, I also want to say what images do I have. And that should connect to Airtable and say, okay, you have these 6 images. Let's see. That are called whatever, right? 6 images that are called that. So I also want to give it access to Airtable as a tool and be able to grab the images there. Because then I can also say, okay, take image 4, which is the happy dog leap, and edit it so it's a cat instead of a dog. So it's like it has all the tools it really needs.
Is there a memory where it remembers that?
Yes, because we're connected to the memory right here.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Important guidelines, be decisive. If a request could fit into multiple categories, prioritize based on the main action requested. Always use exactly 2 tools, one primary tool, one Telegram tool, or just Telegram message for clarification. So if it's unclear, the agent has the freedom to ask for clarification, right? Never respond without using a Telegram tool as a final step. And this is sort of driving home the point. Process the user's input as is to the selected primary tool. So don't change it too much, I guess. And then there's the response format. So this is the orchestrator system prompt. So what I'm going to do, just copy this, go here, and just paste that in there. Now, in this case, let's see. Let's add the Telegram response functionality first, so that we'll see this is working. Here I'm going to choose Telegram, and for Telegram tool here, we have a few different options, right? We have the send message, which requires a chat ID and the actual text. So chat ID, I can just grab from the Telegram trigger chat ID and drag and drop that in there. For the text, this will be the response from the AI agent right here. So in this case, if I just run this, I don't remember what we sent here. Yeah, voice message right there. So this is sending. So let me run this just so I get an output from it that I can then connect right here or as a tool. So here, okay, this did not refresh. Let's try this again. Actually, no, I mean, no need because it's a tool. So this should just be called whatever we called it here. So in my case, what did I call it? Telegram message something. Telegram : message. So here, I'm just going to change the name to allow this agent to know exactly what tool that is. So here, I'm going to remove that text, and I'm going to leave this up to the agent to define that, right? So the agent will be defined, or the text will be defined automatically by the model. So let's just try this first. If I run this again, this should transcribe the voice recording that I sent. And here I got a message saying, can you please clarify what you'd like to do? Which makes sense because I just sent some random thing, right? Voice message right here. So this is sending. So this is working as expected so far. What I also want to do, since we're doing this endpoint, sort of end stage of the automation, is Control D here. So I duplicate the Telegram message. And instead of just being able to send a Telegram message, I'm going to send a photo. So for this one, we'll need the chat ID, which can be the same thing because we're sending back to the same chat message. For the photo, we'll need to send the URL of the photo that would have been created. So again, I'm leaving it up to the model to decide what to put in this field. The only thing is that I need to change this from Telegram message 1 to whatever we called it here, which I think was Telegram : photo. Yep. So I'll just copy this and just put that in there. All right. Any questions so far before we dive into the social media and creating the images and then editing the images?
When you say URL of the photo, like URL of the photo on Telegram, so every picture on Telegram that has a URL?
No, the URL of the photo that will be generated.
Was that a link? The URL is like a.
Yeah, the link, yeah. So one
And
of
then
the
it's-
tools will be to create an image based on the user request. So if we look here, if I said here, create me an edited version of this image, but instead of an athlete, put a dog. When this was created within the tool I'm going to use, it had a link that was then saved to our table. So the Telegram photo here grabbed the Airtable link and sent the URL, the link to it right here.
the Airtable link. Okay, got it.
It could be directly from the tool that you use to generate the image if you want it. In my case, I'm just saving that to Airtable.
All right.
Okay. Cool. So let's start with social media. As I said, we have the orchestrator that if the agent decides that we're going to create social media stuff, we will need to call this generate social media content tool. So here, I just copied that name. I'm going to add a tool right here. I'm going to search for AI agent. So quite a, relatively, I guess a few months old update was that N8N allowed you to add agents within agents. Before that was not possible. And this opens up quite a lot of possibilities because one agent could have sub-agents and then the sub-agent would have other agents all listed as tools within it. So in this case, the orchestrator has one agent, which is called generate social media content. And if I just click into this, the description, let's just say, let me just copy what I had before. Create captions for Instagram, X, and LinkedIn. Pretty straightforward. What is important here is the prompt for the agent. So essentially, I want it to be defined by the model. I'm not going to hard code it. I'm not going to put something there. I'm just going to say, okay, the whatever we will pass here will be the responsibility of this orchestrator agent. So if the user wants to create social media stuff, this agent needs to pass whatever needs to be created to this agent here. I'll just paste the description there. And again, I'm going to use the let the model define this parameter. So that we'll then find ourselves at this level. I need to give this a brain, a chat model, so I can also connect it to the same one there. And I can also connect it to the same memory there. No questions yet. So what this generate social media content agent will now need to do is decide whether we're creating LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, I think is what I went with in my case. No, X, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you wanted to add school, like in the original automation, you could. If you wanted to add YouTube, like in the original automation, you could. I didn't want to create school because I wanted to focus on the social networks. For YouTube, what Jack has was video transcripts. So I didn't want to get into video transcripts as well in the scope because there's a lot of stuff happening. So you can definitely do that as well. So you could paste in a YouTube transcript from here, or you could paste in a YouTube URL, and the YouTube agent would be responsible for grabbing the transcript of that video and then generating a summary, because this is what the prompt is here. Transform video transcript into compelling summaries and reviews that highlight the value viewers will gain. So this could also be another branch that you go with. In my case, as I said, I'm just going with X, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So if we go back here, I'm going to add 3 AI agents. So AI agent, let's call this X. And the description is an agent that creates X, let's say formerly Twitter, posts. For the user prompt, again, I'm going to let the model define this. And what this agent needs, it's a chat model. So again, I'm routing to the same node right here. What we can also do, which is part of the original automation, is to give this the ability to search for the latest news. And for that, we're using a tool called Tavily. If you haven't used this, it's pretty straightforward. Just sign up, you log in, And this will give you, I think, like 1,000 searches per month for free, if I'm not mistaken. So you log in. Yeah, 1,000 credits. And here you get your API key. So you just copy this. And once you do, you can go to your automation. Under tools, search for Tevily. You can create a credential and just paste in your API key. And that will connect to Tevily. In my case, I'm already connected, so I'll just choose my Tevily account. For the query, we're just going to, again, let the model define this parameter. So there's a lot of thinking about the conversation Gus and myself were having yesterday about sort of how much should you give, how much liberty, I guess, how much freedom you give the AI agent. And I was like, generally, I like to be more in control of stuff in terms of where the data flows. In this case, there's a lot of agents. There's a lot of stuff happening. So thinking about it, hey, Sabrina. So thinking about it, yeah, there's a lot of liberty that you're allowing the agents to have. If you see that this is not giving you the output you want, you can always sort of think about how can I make this more logical, more step by step. So if, for example, we have the orchestrator here, instead of allowing this agent to choose whether it's creating an image, editing an image, or generating social media content, you could have sort of a switch that branches to different routes. And then based on that, each of those could be more step 1, step 2, step 3. This, as I showed you before, works in this case, but it's also an option to go down the more traditional path, if that makes sense. So just one thing to keep in mind. Cool. Any questions so far before we get to the fun parts and generate some social media posts? Then we do the image generation and then get to the uploading stuff to Blotato, which, by the way, and thank you, Sabrina, for that, I haven't mentioned, but there's a coupon code that you can use for a good chunk of change in discounts if you sign up through this code. So I'll share that with you towards the end of this and in the recap as well. But any questions so far about what we've built?
All good for me. I'm just I just found it very interesting. You're connecting to the same brain OpenAI chat model. I didn't see that before. That's interesting.
Okay. As in this, instead of creating duplicates of it.
Yeah, I guess I would have created a brain for each
Yeah.
one. I don't know if that would have been necessary or like I
It's
didn't know
pretty
you
much
could do
this-
it just
yeah,
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I just like it. It's like 3, 4 less nodes in the way, sort of, but one or the other.
Kevin, if I can just offer a thought on that, what he just said. So definitely you can consolidate your nodes to operate off of the same brain. An example of when you would want to try and do it differently is if you're trying to cut down on API cost for tasks that require a lower level brain. For instance, like you have just simple mundane tasks, you can use something like 4.1 mini. But for higher level tasks, you want to use something like GPT-5 or something like that. Then you could split out like that.
Yep. One thing I also mentioned in terms of models is that there's this fallback model, which as you're testing this and eventually putting it into production, definitely use this fallback model, because this will give you the additional branch to then be able to connect to, I don't know, Anthropic chat model, right? So like this, if OpenAI is down for some reason, it would then revert to Anthropic right there, which happens from time to time. And without that, I mean, yeah, with that, you avoid a lot of calls from clients at random times of the day.
What? So, I didn't know that too. That's another thing I learned now. Okay, good to know.
It's a special day, Gus. You said you have no questions and you're learning one thing after another. I don't know how this day can get better.
Sheesh.
Like where do we go from here, Gus?
All right, I'm waiting. All right.
All right, cool. So we have X. So an agent that creates X, formerly Twitter posts. Let me have a look at the one I built before, see if I missed anything. But yeah, obviously, yeah, the system message that I shared with you before. So in this document, we have the different system prompts for each social media channel, right? So we have Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. There's also the school and YouTube that were from the original automation that Jack had built. So essentially, I just grabbed the system message there, put it in this document for you, just copy and paste it, make it your own, tweak it. In my case, I'm just going to use Twitter. So I'll copy this. And for Twitter, for X, I'm just going to go to system message, paste that in there. I'll turn that off. And I'm just going to copy that. So clicking on that, Control or Command D. And now I'll have Instagram. And I think the other was LinkedIn. So I'll duplicate that for LinkedIn as well. So here, an agent that creates LinkedIn posts. I'll go in here, LinkedIn, copy, paste. And there's also IG. So this one that creates Instagram posts. Again, this is the key sort of thing. Prompt here is defined automatically by the model. So we're getting the user prompt to go from the orchestrator to the generate social media content agent to the specific social media channel agent. So it goes down without us having to dynamically fill that in. So for IG here, I just need to go to Instagram, copy, and just paste that in there. I'm going to connect the tools here. Connect the brain, as we were saying before, chat model. And I think let's give this a shot. Let me know if you have any questions in the meantime, guys.
That's one big brain.
It's a very in-demand brain. So let's go here. Go to Cobuild 110 and let's say create me a social media post for Twitter about learning new things every day. Hey, Melly, so you have your hand raised.
Just like a general question, I'm new to N8N, so these are a few of my first ones. And before in Make, I used to do those agents as you guys taught us on the sandbox of OpenAI, and then you could open them and maybe also train them. Can you do like any training with these agents in N8N, or they just have the system prompt and they work with that system prompt and that's it?
Can you define training?
Like you would train a GPT.
Isn't that giving it the system prompt, or are you speaking about adding files to it potentially?
Well, both, because like I would spend some time in the sandbox, like working with those agents to push. I don't know how to call them now that everything is called an agent. Yeah, so it would learn, as you said, about my voice. It would learn about how I like things done, because it doesn't always do it. So no, I was just wondering if that's an option here or no.
I'm not sure if you're speaking about, if I go to OpenAI, there are the assistants. Maybe this is what you mean?
Yeah, the ones that I guess you create an OpenAI and then you put them a system prompt then, and then you go to the sandbox and you like train them as you will be training a GPT.
I think she means RAG, like what I was mentioning at the beginning.
RAG, yeah. I mean, with OpenAI, you could have an assistant that you give like a knowledge base to it. You add files to it. So this is pulling from the files I had uploaded in OpenAI. One more advanced or more, I guess a lot we're focusing on now is using what the guys just mentioned, which is RAG. So you then connect to something like Pinecone or Supabase, where you upload all your information. It gets stored as numbers so that when there's a query that comes in, the search is much more efficient and retrieves much better quality data as a result.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I've been learning a little bit
Yeah.
about that. That's pretty
Yeah.
new for me too.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a
thank
very interesting, like once you get that down, and I mean, we have a lot of videos about that in the community, and feel free to ask as you get more into that. Once that happens, then, for example, Gus at the beginning asked about, could we use something like that so that when we get to the part where we're using, in this case, Blotato to upload stuff to social media, in my case, what I'm going to show you is how to upload the image that you would have created and then upload it to the different channels. But if you had a knowledge base through OpenAI or through these tools that I just mentioned, you can then get the information right here about your business, plus whatever the post is about. And the combination of that would give you a much higher quality social media post than if it was just about, you know, using OpenAI and this general training to create that social media post.
Cool. In that part about adding like another section there, you mean like for
Yeah.
the caption?
It could go in many different places. You could also have it be part of the, like you could say, okay, I have the first automation, which creates, like we're having the conversation via Telegram to generate the images. Then the second one would be responsible for creating the social media caption with the knowledge base and everything that we're saying. And then the third part would be responsible for uploading.
Okay. Okay.
This would be the sort of, I just wanted to, like I mentioned this because maybe here, I guess I thought it would be easier to demonstrate in the sense that we have the image, we create a caption here, and then we upload it. But it could be in many different stages as well.
Okay. Maybe after this I'll put in a little request for us to add the caption part too. That would be
Sounds good.
very
Sounds good.
Thank
I mean,
Kevin.
it doesn't have to be just today. We can also have a part 2 of this because it is an intense one. So let's see how it
Yeah.
goes. Hey guys.
Thank
Kevin, in the other workflow, where would you connect the rag in the other workflow?
Which workflow?
Is this the one we're working this one? Like
So
where
if
would the
we're,
rag node come?
yeah. So what I would do here is instead of connecting to an agent, then this agent is connected to Pinecone or Supabase. So this is where the reg would come in. So if I had a reg database with my knowledge, this LinkedIn agent has access to both the system prompt and the knowledge that it gets about my business to create a much higher quality final product.
And would you take the IG and the X as well? Would you also connect them to that same one?
Yep, 100%.
You just, all right, yeah, kind of like the brain thing. Okay.
Yeah, I think you can also, you can do that as well if you wanted. Just so we're connecting everything together.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's cool.
You could also, if you wanted to, maybe this would be a case where not having the same connection might make sense. Because what you could do, and I don't want to get too off topic, but in terms of metadata, you could also say, okay, for LinkedIn, you have a section in your knowledge base about LinkedIn related stuff about your business. So you could also have one database which contains business information, but then you have metadata which is specific to LinkedIn or specific to Instagram. So you could also have sort of those sub-levels as well.
All right. Okay.
Excuse me. Does it make sense?
For me, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you can tinker with this stuff and then see the outputs if you like the outputs, and then yeah.
100%, yeah. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. So what I mean, Sanai, by metadata is, for example, in the automation we built, I think it was last week, Hormozy's $100 million model reg automation. I mean, it could have been last week, I don't know, or it could have been for another thing. But one thing I recently built was where we had the ability to have a chat with all of Hormozy's books, with the 3 of them. And when we uploaded that to the vector database, to the reg database, one metadata element was the name of the book. So if the user wanted to connect or chat directly with one book and get information that is only found in that book, the user was able to get information from one central database, but he was also, based on the prompt that he gave, be able to get something specific from a specific book. So let's say that in your knowledge base for LinkedIn, you say, okay, maybe you feed a specific past LinkedIn examples that worked really well for your business. And those are tagged as LinkedIn in the metadata. Yeah, yeah, got you. Okay. Let me know if there are any other questions, guys, before we keep going. All right. So the the Twitter post that we generated here was, I mean, successful. Unlock your potential every day. Again, when I say successful, I say that, I guess in quotes, because it is a very generic sort of Twitter post. Unlock your potential every day, learning something new. It's like that ChatGPT sort of, I don't know. So this is where customizing it, changing the system prompt to your voice and all that is key. See you, Amanda. What I also want to do here is just change the N8N attribution. So each message I send doesn't have this was sent automatically with N8N. So I'll just go here, and for each of these, or rather for the Telegram message right here, I'll go to Telegram message. Yeah, append N8N attribution. This is, yeah, my bad. I'm looking at the wrong automation. So here, if I go to add field, I can go to append N8N attribution and just turn that off. And do the same with the photo one, which we'll use in a second. So add field. Interesting. Okay, that might not. Okay, doesn't seem to have that one for the photo one. So now if I were to say, okay, do the same. So we can also test the memory now. Do the same topic, but for LinkedIn. So because we have the memory enabled, interesting. So here, first it said, here's a LinkedIn post about learning new things every day. So this is where, going back to that creative liberty, I guess, with the agent. I don't know if I would like it, if I like this, like first message, second message. And I can obviously get more specific with the prompt in the AI agent. But these are small things that I guess, think about when it comes to AI agent that has a lot of creative liberty or more linear step-by-step sort of thing. But anyway, we got the same topic about learning new things every day in LinkedIn format. So it's a bit longer. There's still some hashtags at the end because that is in the system prompt. So this is working as expected. Now, let's focus on creating the images because this is where it gets interesting. For the image creation part, I'm going to use two tools, which are in a tool called Replicate. So if I go to dashboard right here, I'm going to use this Flux Dev, and I'm going to use Nano Banana. And like Replicate, there are other tools. There's fal.ai, I believe. I just started using Replicate many months ago and just stuck with it, and I like it. I'm using these two models, so Flux Dev for image creation and Nano Banana for image editing, because I feel that Nano Banana is better when it comes to image editing, where you can feed it an original image, for example, this one right here, and say, okay, have the bed sheets be changed so that they have this pattern, right? And then you get that output. It's not that great when it comes to actually generating images from scratch, in my opinion. So for that, I'm going to be using this Flux Dev. In the Flux, I think if you search Flux, it says like the Flux family of models or something like that, unless it's been changed. But anyway, there's a lot of different models within Flux as well. So there's Flux Pro that you can also use. Flux 1 Dev, Flux 1.1 Pro. Different models, different costs, different time it takes to run the models. In this case, I was going to use these two. So Flux Dev, I'll put that in the document we have as well. So replicate models and our friend Nano Banana. when it comes to using these models, if you scroll down on any of the pages on Replicate, you get how much it will cost you right here. So with Nano, you can do 25 images for $1. With Flux, you can do 40 images for $1. So just to get an idea on pricing right there. If we go back to, or actually, let's just go and have a look at how to generate this via the API. So here, if you wanted to test it out, you can generate like put in a prompt, choose the important information, like the aspect ratio. One thing that I discovered as I was preparing for this Cobuild, if you're going to use, and I don't know if Sabrina's still on the call and can confirm, but one thing I ran into, it's not an issue, it was like something I learned on my part. When I was using Flux Dev to generate images, by default, this has WebP as the format. And when I was trying to upload this WebP into Brotato, I was running into some issues. I changed it to JPEG here, and then it all worked fine. So it's just a way, like the output format right there. I don't know if I was doing something wrong. It was just giving me like some problems when I was trying to upload WebP. It's not a big issue at all. It's just ensuring that, I mean, I'm just saying this because I ran into that issue. So if you're following along, might be one thing to consider. So this is Flux Dev. Over here, if you click into HTTP, you have the curl request that you can copy directly into N8N. And here, what you notice is that we will need the authorization, so the token, which I'll show you where to get in a second, and pretty much the prompt right there. It's already set to output format JPEG, since I changed that in the previous step. You should probably change this to 100 in terms of output quality. I have no clue why they put it at 80. And I would leave pretty much anything else as is. So I'll just copy this. Before I go back to N8N, if you go to your username right here and then choose API tokens, this is where you can create a new token. So you can just say Cobuild, and this will give you a new token right there. Copy that. And now I have pretty much everything I need to go back to N8N and start working on the workflow that will generate the image. Now for that, this is where I say no more AI agent. And this is where I say, let's build this step by step, because I want this to follow a very strict sort of order. I want to get information. I want to call replicate to generate the image. I want to generate an image name, which I will then use right here as the image name. I then want to create the record in our table, and I want to return the URL to the main workflow. So those are the steps that I want. There's no sort of ifs and buts. Step 1, step 2, 3, 4, and 5. Which you can get with an AI agent. I just would rather have it like this so I can also see that it's giving me the output that I want. So for that, over here, I'm going to add another tool, and this is where we will call N8N workflow tool. And here, once we create a new workflow, we'll be able to choose it from the list. So here, I have a new empty workflow, and the trigger for this will be when executed by another workflow. So this right here will be the thing that calls this right here, right? Now, once you open this when executed by another workflow, you can either say accept all data, or we can be more specific. And in this case, I want to be specific. So what I want here is essentially a prompt. If I hit execute, this now has, or is now expecting a prompt to get passed to it from the parent orchestrator agent. So let's say that the prompt, for example, is a dog in a park. So I can save this. This data is now pinned. So I can build this workflow right here as if we got data from the parent workflow. So we can see that this is actually doing the thing that we wanted to do. I'm going to call replicate with the curl command that I copied. So import curl, paste that in, and then we just need to change a few things. We need to put in the token, which I created just now. So I just put that in there. And here for the prompt, this is where I need to go to expression and change this to a dynamic variable. So I'll delete that and just drag and drop a dog in the park right there. So each time this runs, it will be a new image generated. Let's run this. And if this works, that was very fast. See you, Melly. Okay, we got the dog in the park. It was super fast. 1.611 seconds. Not bad. So we have the replicate image. Now, because I want to save this like so that I can then ask Airtable what images I have in my Airtable, I'm going to have an OpenAI node that generates a name for my image. And as you can see here, I could have said, let's use the image prompt as the image name. I just didn't want to have to run the risk, so to speak, of having the same image name twice. So what I'm going to do here is go to OpenAI, message a model. I'm going to choose the 4.1 model here. And for the system prompt, I'm going to say your role is to create an image name, 4 to 5 words max, based on the following prompt. Also put today's date before the image name in this format. Let's say year, month, day, and then image name. Or let's say your output. What is key here is passing along today's date. So in an A10, if you flip to expression and just put in the $now variable, this will allow you to pass along today's date. I was specific here, YYMMDD, because I don't want it to give this whole string right here. I just wanted to put in those 6 additional characters. And for the user message, I'm just going to pass along the initial prompt that we got, that we will get eventually from the parent workflow. So I'll just pass along the prompt. So now, if I pin the dog image and I run the model, okay, check your parameters, valid value for content, expecting a string got null. Okay, let's see. So here we got null. So this, let's run this again. Okay. And now we got this image name, 2510.1 dog relaxing in park. Yeah, I'm good with that. If you want to be super specific, if you're generating, I guess, multiple dog images of a dog in a park, you could also add a timestamp, which includes like the time as well. So it would definitely be a unique image name. Now, next thing would be Airtable. So I'm going to create a record. And for that, let's just create a new Airtable right here. Let me know if you have any questions in the meantime. Okay. So new Airtable. I'm going to change the first, like the unique ID, the unique key to a record ID. And this is a personal preference, I guess, but record ID formula, and just put in equals record ID. And now, each time I add a record, it will have a unique key right there. So each record will be unique. And over here, we'll have the attachment, which will be the image, just like I showed you right here. And we'll need to add a couple more columns. So let's have a name. Let's have the prompt, which is, let's put in long text. And then we'll have the buttons to post to social media as well. So let's put these immediately. So I have a button, which is post to Facebook. And the label will be post to Facebook as well. And this will be a separate workflow that we will create. But for now, I'm just going to put in two double quotes, because if not, this will give me an error here. So here, I'm just going to put in that empty string. So this will create the button that eventually will be able to press and then send the information to N8N. I'm going to duplicate this and then duplicate again. So post to Facebook. We have, I believe, Instagram and LinkedIn. No Facebook. X, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So let's change this. X, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Right, cool. So now we have the Airtable, so we can start saving stuff into it, right? So if we go back here and just create a record, if I connect to my Airtable and choose Cobuild 1.10.25, I can choose table 1, which is this right here, the default table that is created. And I now have those three parameters, or those three values. I have the name, which we know is this 25.10.1. I have the initial prompt, which will be a dog in the park. And I have my attachment, which will be the image. Now, over here, the way Airtable works is that an attachment is in the form of an array. So you need to be very specific with how you save it. So you need to put in a square bracket, then you put in a curly bracket, then you put in a double quotes, URL in between those double quotes, then you put in a colon, and then this is where the actual image URL goes. And that image URL will be from replicate, which is the output we generated right here. So now, if I hit execute step, and I go back here, we should have the dog in the park right there. Right? So that is working as expected. The final part will be to send this image URL back to the parent workflow. So then this can send the image to the Telegram user through the Telegram photo tool. So we come full circle. So for that to happen, the way the sub workflows work is that the last output of the output of the last node is sent back to the parent. But I don't want to send all this information back to the parent. The only thing I want to send is the Airtable URL. So here, if I go to replicate, I can just send the output right there. Because essentially that's all I'm interested in sending back. I'm going to hit save. And now let's give this a shot and see what happens. So save this. What I just need to do here is just choose the tool that I want to call. And when we set up the orchestrator here, see you, Lisa. I think I call that create an image. So I'll just go here, change the name to create an image. And I'll just need to choose the name of this workflow. So here, I'll just call this Cobuild create an image. If I go back here, we should be able to find Cobuild create an image. We need to pass along a prompt because that's what we said this should expect. So if I go here, I can also say, let the model define this parameter. And now let's test this and see what happens. So let's go back here. Let's go back to this one. No. Was it this one? Yeah, 640. So let's say, create me an image of a man on a laptop. Let's see what happens. And probably, it rarely ever works immediately, but you never know. Oh yeah, it worked immediately, I guess. So if we look at what actually happened, if I look at executions here, 1949 is now. And if I look at the executions here, Let's see what happened. So Telegram was triggered. It was not a voice, so it was false. Then the orchestrator decided that it doesn't call any of these, but what it did is called create an image, and then it created Telegram photo. If we look in more detail at logs, this is the whole flow. So we have the orchestrator that added to the memory, that used OpenAI, as in the brain, then called create an image, OpenAI, then it called the photo, creation, it created an image, then it sent a message back to Telegram, then it used the brain to update the memory. So step by step, this is what happened when it came to that, which meant we ended up with this right here. Before we get into the editing of the images now, any questions so far? See you, Sabrina.
Not for me,
All right.
but I will
thank you,
have to
Jeremy.
bounce
All good.
in about 10 minutes.
Sounds good.
I'm good to go.
All right, cool. So let's do editing of images. So we go back to the editor here. I'm going to duplicate this tool right here because I'm going to be calling another workflow that I'm going to be building in a second. I think here, let's see, we called it edit previous image. So just to be done, I'm just going to change the name of that, edit previous images, edit previous image. And let's go back here and create a new workflow, which we'll call edit images Cobuild _. Pretty similar to what we have created here. So it will get called by another workflow. It will use replicate, but not flux, because this time we're going to use nano banana. We'll generate a new image. We'll give it a name. We'll save it. We'll pass along the URL. One key difference is that now we're not only going to give it a prompt, we also need to give it the image URL. So let's say we want to change this guy to a lady. We'll need to pass along the prompt, change the guy to a girl, but we also need to pass along the initial original image. So for this one, which is Cobuild edit image, I'm going to start or have the trigger be when executed, so same as before. But this time let's have prompt and let's have old image URL. I'm going to edit these values so I can play around with them. And let's say a man on a laptop, or rather the prompt would be change the man on a laptop to a woman. And for the old image URL, I'm just going to grab an image from my Airtable for now. So right click, copy image, and I'll just paste that along there. Hit save. And now, just to save some time, I'm just going to copy the stuff right here, and then we'll make changes. So copy, paste. This will be connected. And let's unpin the data there. So we'll need to change this because we're not going to call flux, right? We're going to call nano banana. And we'll also need to change the JSON body that we send to replicate as well. So if we look at nano banana here, HTTP, we'll need, as you can see, the prompt and the image input. So let's copy that. Let's go back to Cobuild edit image. That's great. Import curl, paste the whole thing in there. This should reset my API key. So let's just go here and regrab that. And over here, for the prompt, again, let's switch it out to the new prompt right there. Now over here, this took me a while to figure out, but as you can see here, we have two images in terms of the input, right? In our case, I'm just using one initial image. So we don't need to have value 1 and value 2. So what we need, I believe, is just to remove that. If I'm not mistaken, if this doesn't work, I'll look at what I created. I believe it's just having an array and then passing along the single image. In my case, since I'm using a single image. But let's check that in a second. So we have the prompt, we have the image input, output format is JPEG, that's fine. And we have the new endpoint right there. And yeah, let's test this out. So if I were to run this, let's see what we get. If it works, we should get a girl on a laptop essentially. So let's see, output, copy, open. Yes, perfect. So we got the girl on the laptop. I don't know, I'm still sometimes surprised by how far this stuff, it's like we live with this stuff 24/7, but it's still, I guess, when you think about it, I mean, not too bad, I guess. The plants are still in the background, the lampshade, and yeah. Anyway, see you, Peter. So this is working as expected here. What I just need to double check here is whether the output for the image name creation is still the same. Because as you can see here, now we have null. Because here, I mean, it should be, when executed, it should be fine, but let me just, yeah, that will change when we update it, so that's fine. What I think might be different, let's actually run it. So I'll pin this, message a model. Yeah, because now we got null. Okay, so let's run this once more. Yeah, let's run it from the beginning. Execute. Yeah, makes sense, Jeremy. Okay. I guess it's a bit not a headache, but there's a few more steps, I guess, if you wanted to configure that. But yeah. See you.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. Bye.
See you, man. So here, okay, we got a woman using a laptop, so that's fine. So now we'll connect it to our table. Yeah, as you can see here, the URL would be broken unless we change this URL :h. I don't know where that picked that up from, but in this case, if I go to replicate, the output, I guess, is slightly different because of the way Nano Banana would return that result. I'm just going to drag and drop that in here. And now I get that right there. So now this should have created an new record right here. Not there. Where's Airtable? Did I close Airtable? Nope, it's here. So now we have a man on a laptop. We have the prompt, change the man on a laptop to a woman, and we have the new name right there. And we have the woman saved right there, right? So it goes from that to that. And then the final thing we need to do in the edit images is obviously send the URL back to the parent workflow. So here, same thing. I'm going to look at replicate. I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to take the output and drag it in there. So then this is now able to send the information back to the parent workflow. So if we were now to test it within Telegram, and let's say change the man to a dog, I don't know. My brain is getting tired. Sounded funny in my head. I don't know what the result will be, but
You need coffee, Kevin.
Yeah, I need to sleep.
Lots.
But or lots of coffee, yeah.
Un espresso doppio.
It's your favorite Italian word.
It is.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't change the man to a dog, I guess, but change the dog to a cat. Let's see. I mean, yeah, change the human to a cat, I guess. Anyway, I think the problem is with the model itself, not with the automation at this stage. Let's see, execution. Let's see. Or maybe it is with the automation. I don't know if this created. Yeah. it is a problem with the automation because this decided to create a new image. So it used the create an image rather than the edit an image. So we'll need to go back to the orchestrator here and make a bit of a change to it. So if we look at the last run, no. Okay, yeah, I know what happened. I think I haven't set the right workflow to be called. So if we look at this, yeah, it's still calling the create an image. So that's a human problem, human error. So here, instead of create an image, what we need to do is be calling the Cobuild edit image. Since I duplicated that, and now once this refreshes, it should also have the old URL as well there. So let's see. Yeah, old image URL. So I'll use the model there. And now let's test it again. So let's say, I don't know, change the cat to another dog. So we have two dogs looking at the laptop. Okay, there was an error. Let's see what happened. So no errors there. Okay, there was a problem in edit previous image. So let's refresh this. There's an error there. And replicate didn't like something. Okay, so here for old image URL, for some reason, it just put in cat using a laptop. So over here, it didn't quite put in the Airtable URL. And that makes sense because this doesn't really know what the Airtable URL is, all right? Because we haven't given it the tool to be able to grab that image URL. If we look at what I built, like in preparation for this, I gave it this Airtable image name tool, which it references in order to grab what is in Airtable. So let's do that. And I think that might solve the issue that we're running here into here. So let's add a final tool here. Editor. Airtable. This will be a search. The Airtable is called that. The list is table 1, and let's grab everything from it. So I think that should be fine. We just need to figure out what name we gave it here. So here, Airtable image name tool. So paste that. Let's try again. Maybe this will solve it. Let's see what happens. Try again. Here I'm assuming that it's referencing its chat memory. It's referencing quite a lot of things, but yeah, that was the issue. As you can see, it did change the cat to the dog. So now I can also ask it, what images do I have available? Or what image, that will be a bit more clear, what image names do I have available? And this should technically say these 6, which it did. Okay. So now if we take, let's take the image of, I don't know. Yeah, let's try it from here. So dog relaxing in the park. So take image 2 and change it to, so instead of park, change it to a, I don't know, a luxury apartment in Dubai. I don't know. I'm just trying to see if all the systems are working well together, essentially. Okay, so we have some sort of issue there. So if we look at an A10,
Let's see what went wrong. Okay, edit previous image. Does not match format URI. Okay. If we look here,
Would there be a second part to this, Kevin, for the blotato? Because I gotta bounce soon too.
I don't think so. I think we'll do it within the next 30 minutes. I think we're super close. Yeah. So here we're passing doc image URL. So dog relaxing empire. So here we'll need to be much more specific with the prompt right here. So if we go to editor, let's see. Tool to edit previous image. When you call this tool, you need to pass two things. The Airtable URL the user wants to modify. Okay. Call this tool to check tool to a below for information on how to grab the Airtable URL. This will always be found within the key value pair. So if we look at Airtable, let's see if we put in this. This is crucial for the edit image to work. Try again. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think getting to the potato part should be part of this because we're close. I don't want to spend too much time on this anyway, but let's see if this fixes it. Okay, there's our doggo in a luxury apartment in Dubai. I mean, yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Like this was the original. And this is our guy. Yeah, not bad. So, any questions before we move to setting this up, the buttons and the potato automation?
No, I'm ready to go.
Let's go. So the way I created this when I was building this is that I saw the two automations as two separate parts, in the sense that I want to be able to dictate what I want to create here in terms of images or social media posts. In this case, then I only am saving the images, right? But you can take the idea of us saving stuff to Airtable, then reviewing it, then pressing a button to be the same for the social media posts as well. In this case, I just happen to be going to be showing the image creation part. So for this, we'll need a fourth and final N8N workflow. So let's succeed it. And this time, the workflow will start with a webhook. So I'm going to go webhook. I'm going to choose production. And I'm just going to grab the production URL. I'm going to go to Airtable, not this Airtable, but this one. And here, the three columns will be very similar to each other. So we'll have the webhook first, and then we're going to pass along two items, two parameters. So again, we have the webhook in double quotes. We have a question mark. And what I'm going to pass along are, number one, the record ID, because I want that if I click the button here, it's obviously the record that is sent is different to the one than if I click the button here. So the first thing will be this record, let's call it record ID, is equal to, and I'm going to go outside of the double quotes, put an ampersand, and just put in record ID. So this will send record ID is equal to REC3 30p, whatever, if I were to press the third item. And then I'm going to send another thing. So I'm going to say ampersand. And this might be a bit weird, but here I'm going to put another ampersand because one is to connect this variable piece of data together. And the other is to sort of, how would I explain this? Basically, I want to have a complete URL. And this part is for attaching a second item to what I'm sending, which will be whether it's X or Instagram or LinkedIn. Whereas this part is to ensure that the URL I send is correct. Let me know if that's not clear. I don't know if I explained that as best as I could. But here, I'm going to say and social channel is equal to, in this case, X. And I'll just close that right there. I'm going to copy this. And now these will become clickable because I have something where like that can be called. I'm going to put the same thing here, just change X to IG. And same thing here, change X to, let's put in LI. So here we have LI, we have IG, and we have X. And I'm copying this because I'm going to use the switch when I build this out right here. So if I turn this on, go to executions. Let me see, yeah, I didn't use the test, so that's good. And I press post to X. Over here, we should get an automation coming in, or an execution coming in right here, which should have record ID, which is REC, RK, whatever. And the social channel should be X. So if we look at what we have here, as you can see, we have that record ID with that social channel. Which also means that we can do a few things. Number one, we can do Airtable get a record from the table or from the database called Cobuild. So I'll choose that from the list. Table 1. And the record ID will be what we got from our webhook right here. So let's just actually copy to editor. So we'll have that data over here. So the record ID will be that. So this should allow us to get all the information about that, right? A dog using laptop, the prompt. So this is all the information we have right here. What we also want to do is, okay, let's move to the next thing and then I'll get back to this. So here, let's use a switch so that we can have 3 different channels in our case, because we have 3 different buttons. You could have as many channels as you want. But in my case, I just want to have if webhook social channel is equal to X, then we'll go down the X route. If this, let me add another routing rule. If this is equal to IG, we go down the IG route. If this is equal to LinkedIn, we go down that route. So now we have those 3 different routes, which also means that when we connect to Blotato to create a post, we're able to choose, for example, Instagram, if we are down the Instagram route. But if I duplicate this and we have X right here, I can choose platform Twitter. So then this goes directly to Twitter. So this switch right here, which we get from the webhook, which we get from this right here, is super important. If you have not used Blotato, it's, I mean, I love how easy it is to use. So once you have your API key, or once you have your account, you go to settings, you go to API, and here you get your API key. You copy that. In NA10, you just need to go to, and one thing that is even better now is that it integrates directly with NA10. Before it was still great, but you had to do a bunch of steps. Now with this, you can just choose Blotato. If it's your first time using it, it will ask you to install it. So you'll have a button called install, and then you have the actions that you will need. So then you just need to create a credential and just paste in that API key there. Now, in my case, if I go back to Blotato and go to settings, I connected 3 accounts, I believe, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, which is also the 3 things, the 3 branches that we built right here. So here, let's just change to X. Twitter, so I'll just choose, no, in my case, I haven't connected. Let me go back here. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Yeah, so probably here, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So yeah, this should be, in my case, I would choose Facebook since I have those, but I just want to make it as opposed to, let's do Instagram. Because I have this account here. Yeah, and I'll just use this. So if we were to go back here, we have Instagram. So I'll choose my Instagram account. I'll choose my account right there. I can put in a caption, like we were saying earlier. This is where I can create a caption if I want to, or I can have a separate automation that creates the caption before. So it's also saved in our table. But let's say this is a sample caption. And the final thing here would be the media URL, which would be the image I want to post, right? So in order for Blotato to publish media, there is a specific node that it uses. So here, if I go to Blotato, there is this create upload media. So you could either have upload media here and here, and let's say you have the LinkedIn route as well. So you could have upload media 3 times, right? For each channel. Alternatively, if it's the same image, you could also just have one over there. So Blotato, upload media. In my case, I'm going to upload the attachment URL right here. So this will change from an Airtable URL to a Blotato URL, which is what is needed in order to post this right here. So if I just show you this, let's execute. And this should give me a Blotato URL that I can now use to create my post. So there's that. So now, if I connect, in my case, did I choose? No, I chose X. So let's rerun this again. Let me just unhook these. And let's just go in here and just choose post to Instagram. Let's choose the dog in the apartment. So if I look at executions here, this now uploaded the image to Blotato and it went down the Instagram route. So if I were to reconnect, here I now have access to the upload media stuff. So I can just drag and drop that in there. And if I were to run this, has issues. Okay, let's run it again. And let's do, again, post to Instagram. Workflow started. If we look at the executions, okay, there's some issues, I guess.
Kevin, I didn't see the part where like we're uploading to Blotato and then it posts on our social media. We're uploading the pictures, but what about the text? Let's say text and pictures, or
the
would it
text
be
is what I'm
captions
putting
and pictures?
in. What I'm putting in here. So in this case, I'm not creating a caption. If you wanted to, this is where you would create it, as we were saying before, either by connecting to a reg or just using OpenAI, or you can create it before and then like when you pull the Airtable information, it's already in there. But you would create something and then this is where you would put it.
Okay.
Yep. So I was running into this error because I hadn't set up my X account there. So I'm just going to deactivate this. LinkedIn should be fine, I think. So if I go to LinkedIn, that should be fine. So now if I run this again, post to IG, executions, and this 2019 should have now succeeded. So if I go to IG, sometimes it takes a few seconds, but you can also see the If you go to, where's Blotato? Here, and go to publish posts. So this is from the one before. Let's refresh this. Okay, this is sample caption now. So you can either hit that link and it will take you directly to the post, or if I go here and refresh, it should show up there. Doggo with this is a sample caption. All right, so that is working as expected. And like I connected Instagram, you can then obviously have the X or LinkedIn or whatever connected as well. Any questions about any of that? That was quite a long one. Let me just pull up the Blotato code as well in the meantime.
Really cool, man.
Thank you. I feel I'm losing my voice because I've been a bit
Yeah,
under
this
the
is-
weather and all this talking.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
I hope that was good. That was good.
Yeah, it was good. Thank you.
I loved it. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is a
Are
big
these going to
one.
be in the? Or
Say again?
are these workflows going to be somewhere?
Yeah. When I make the recap tomorrow, I'll
Okay,
include the 4 workflows as well. Yeah.
sweet.
So I'll just put that in there. So if you use that, you get 30% off for 6 months. Jack 30. Also put this in here. Put it here at the top.
Where's that code for?
If you get Blotato with that code, you get
Blotato.
30% off. Yeah. Discount code, I guess. Cool. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, Marcos. Blotato coupon. Yeah. Milos. Yeah. And yeah, thanks, Yvonne. Yvonne, I know we're having a quick conversation about those buttons in our table and all that. It's pretty much the same idea. If you wanted to post, technically when you press the button in our table, it could, so when you press this in our table, it could be connected to a workflow that is connected to your WordPress that would then trigger the post based on information you would have here. Yeah. Cool. Any final questions?
You'll be seeing me in tech support, dude.
That's not a question. But yeah, I'm sure I will. And yes, Milos, I will share the JSON, the 4 workflows when I do the recap as well. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Any questions, let me know. And yeah, catch you soon.
Thanks.
See ya.
Dude.
Ciao.